Good evening from Vietnam. Good afternoon to you, Christopher. Thanks a lot for spending your afternoon joining our Inside Sharing and share your stories to our global audience. And on behalf of the listeners around the world, we want to say thank you for spending your time with us.
Well, welcome and thank you so much for inviting me for your podcast. From my side, it's an honor because we both have the same passion, giving positive impact to leaders and to companies and to the world. And it shows right away that it's not only one country, globally we have that same mission and passion. So I'm really grateful now to see a soulmate in making this world a better place.
Wow. Yeah, Christopher, you've been to my country in 2016, right? But you haven't been
Yes.
to Ho Chi Minh City. Now you have a new friend here. If you decided to travel here for work or for leisure, please let me know. And I would be so happy to take you around and show you how Ho Chi Minh City looks like in here, okay?
Yeah, but I love to do so because, as I said, when I did the training, I saw the hotel and some streets around the hotel, and you go one day with a taxi, you see some spots, and as I really see some spots, it means you're almost like a tourist. You go there, make a picture, and drive home. So, and for me, I love to say, walk or go slow to a city and really feel the city and smell the city, just to feel the vibe.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
say, yeah, and Vietnam by itself is a culture of so much resilience that they have deep appreciation for all the Vietnamese people because they show actually that you can even break a plant, but it can still grow and flourish after that. So in that part, all the compliments for all of your fellow people in Vietnam and of course around the world, but Vietnam especially.
Wow, thank you, thank you. And Christopher, in our culture, it's very honored if we can have you to do a little introduction of who you are and the work you are doing. Would you please do that for us, please?
Of course. So now, Christoffel Sneijders, as you can hear, that's a Dutch name. Some people say German. So I always say to people, don't pronounce my name because you probably get Snyders. You have something like a throat issue. Um, I'm already almost 30 years a professional coach, business trainer. Started off in the Netherlands, where I lived. Was part of an international training group who was on that moment the best in Europe. And really, we trained the top companies, the top executives, with a passion how to engage people. That was actually the mission from day one. Later on, I started my own company because I wanted to see, hey, what's actually the other side of the table. So I was interim manager a couple of times. It's nice to train people how to be a better leader, but it's also nice to be a leader and come aware, does it actually work? And practice what you preach. And actually it worked, luckily. After that, I emigrated to Australia with my ex-partner because we love actually beautiful weather. I started up there also as a business coach, business trainer, and also a clinical hypnotherapist, psychotherapist. Because always my passion was, and what drives me is what makes people now really change.
Mm.
Because we talk about development, how do you train people? Well, if you look at success rates of training or coaching or therapy, they all are less than 50%. Even McKinsey, we talked about change management, has a result rate of less than 41%.
Mm.
And McKinsey says if you follow all our steps, we can go up to 75%. Now, I always say you will never go to a dentist for just to replace your filling if the dentist has a success rate of 75%. Then right away would run away and find another dentist. So it always puzzled me, why do people not change? What keeps them stuck? So that brought me to NLP, hypnotherapy, somatic training, and all kind of things. So in Australia, I worked as a therapist to really help people with PTSD, anxiety, depression, addictions, become aware what do we different. So from there, I emigrated actually during COVID times to Spain, where my girlfriend lives, and started there actually really becoming in coaching based on all my experience, and started off in 3-brain coaching. Because during my journey, I came aware what makes us tick. We always talk about the subconscious. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And I have been asking actually all my teachers, what's the subconscious mind? And where is it? And then what it is, they can describe. It is something we are not aware of. It is something like the iceberg underneath the water. It's responsible for your beliefs, your behaviors, and all that kind of stuff. It's okay, where is it located? In my head, my right pink in my toe, where is it? And all of them said, no, it's not a specific place, it's somewhere. And for me, I studied commercial engineering or engineering when I was young. And I thought, that doesn't make sense. If you have a car, you don't ask, where's the engine? Now, it's not really an engine, it is somewhere in the car. You cannot find it, but it's there. For an engineer, it doesn't work. So I also said, okay, if it's not tangible, then it doesn't exist. So from there, I became aware in my searches when I was following actually a trauma course from Peter Levine, and he talked about somatic training, and he said the body has a memory. He said the body has a memory. So I asked him once, so then where is the memory located? And in one of his books, he actually talks about Ivan Yankovic, and that's a Russian-American Jewish researcher from the 40s. And he says everything starts in the gut. So when we are conceived in mama's belly, we start, actually the first part is our gut. Then right away it goes to the nerve system, heart and head. And he somewhere had the premises. So the heart and the gut are actually layers on top of our gut system as a memory system. And I found that really interesting. I thought, okay, if that's true, then there must be other research. And of course there is. I became aware of Michael Gershwin, who wrote the book The Second Brain. It's all about the gut brain. And if you talk about heart brain, you go to heart math that already exists 30 years, I think, and have everything about the heart brain. And on that moment I thought from, Eureka! So we have three brains, one in our beautiful head, one in our heart, and one in our gut. I started researching more from what is more about it? Can I find something about it? I almost didn't find anything, but scientifically it's true we have those. So I thought, if it's scientific true we have them, but there is no real research about it, so maybe we're missing something in our whole system, how we educate. Now that's true. So I started actually working with that. I had on that moment already a school for hypnotherapy and psychotherapy. So I started actually, you could almost say, experimenting on my students. I don't say it like that, but sometimes that one, does it work? Also with my patients I saw. And I came to where it works. And from there I really found the concept and researched the concept, we have three brains. Then on that moment I became aware that actually there was one book written about it. helloNEWNESS in Australia, about multiple brains by Grant Saluko. He pitifully died just before I published my first book. And they also have a training about it, and I connected with the lead trainer of them. He's also Dutch. And somewhere I got an insight, okay, that's true. So somebody else has also a lot of research about it. It ticks all the boxes. So it's not just Christoffel Sneijders, who's a coach and therapist who finds, I'm not a neurobiologist. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a doctor. I never opened any animal. But okay, but if other people have all this research done, it is true. So then and then it's almost as history, that's 8 years ago. I came aware we have three brains. And what's the beauty of that? That's what I'm doing now. I teach or train coaches how to use three brains intelligence in their coaching work, because it's really three brains intelligence. And I coach or train leaders, managers, people, hey, how do you become a better leader and better in the words of getting more engagement, more achievement, more health and wellness, and more happiness in your company. And in the end result means more profit for you, shareholders, and everybody else. Now, that's a long story. That's what I'm doing, and actually how my journey led me to here. And I will stop. Otherwise, I keep on talking, because this is my passion. Yeah. If you would know the concept of three brains, you would be puzzled. If everybody would use three brains, there would be no war, no poverty, and relationships would be healthy and happy.
That's what we want to hear in this conversation, and that is what we're gonna unveil in this conversation. Okay, so Christoffel, yes, you introduce everything to us in about 5.5 minutes, and it's not enough, so we want to go deeper, and we want to start at the very beginning. All right, so when you were little, what was your dream about the future self, the future things that Christoffel will do in this world?
Now, when I was little, I've been born and raised in Amsterdam. My dad loves sports. He was actually really good sportsman in soccer and in running. So he always had a little hope that I would be the same. Now, me and playing soccer is really a no game. I'm really bad at playing soccer. What's a pity? Sport-wise, I'm rather good. But when I was young, I always had something like, I love sports. So I like to do something in sports. I'm good in all sports, but not in one specific sport. So I did also the Olympic triathlons. It's not really a business. Now, my mom emigrated when she was young with her parents to Indonesia, but then it was still Netherlands. And during the Second World War, she was 4 years in prison camp as being a Dutch girl in Japan invaded Indonesia. And after she came back, and in her upbringings and our upbringings, she went from, say, quote, quote, rich girl to poor girl. So there was always a little pressure in our little family. Money is not important, but it helps if you have it. It's nice that you follow your dreams, but at least think if your dreams somewhere make money. Hence, I did not continue in sports or those kind of things, but I became commercial engineer because I have a logical brain. So although I'm dyslexic, I'm rather smart. At least that's what everybody says. An IQ test says the same, so that's good. So I went through all my studies, and I'm smart in math. So I did commercial engineering. 23. When I was 23, I got a job right away in software programming. Just imagine you're 23, you get paid money, you get a car, you get a laptop. And it's like, where do I sign up? Didn't know what to do, but I signed up. So I started in software engineering. And after a couple of years, I came away, I love people more than just my computer. I went to the sales marketing. And after, say, some hiccups with companies, I came aware, what is my real passion is people. I love people. And I also really love to understand people. Because also, I have been bullied at school. If you're a sweet boy and you're not, say, in the normal range, but you like art, you like beauty, you like to dress up, then as a boy, you're right to be easily seen as, probably you're maybe gay. And so I was punching ball. So I learned actually to read people. So those things combined, I know what people think and what they do. I have a passion for people to make this world a better place because I don't understand why would somebody hurt somebody else just for fun. That doesn't make sense to me. So I combined those things, and when I was 30, 31, after being actually sacked from a company, I thought, I'm going to follow my passion. I knew the training company, what I wanted to work, the best in Europe. I said, I'm going to work for them. I called them, they said no. I said, that's an interesting answer. The answer should be yes. So what should I do to make it a yes? Wow. 2 months later, and so convincing, I flew to Switzerland to get a 2-week, 24-hour, 7 days a week training in how to become a leadership trainer. And they really squeeze you, become a trainer, and then really I found my passion. Because then you can start talking to managers, to leaders, to people. How can you make this company a better place? How can you get rid of toxic leadership? How can you get engaged people? How can you? And it felt almost like sport because we were on that moment, say, the best in Europe. And just like in sports, you're working with the best. And it was just big fun. Working with part of a big fun. And I found my passion. And I came later, when I was 9 years later, I got a burnout. I was just divorced, was a partner, had a team, was coaching people, did my sales, and extra, and still do my sports, water polo. And I got a burnout and I thought I knew so much, and actually I know so little. Because how can I have a burnout if I'm coaching the top of the top, and I'm hitting a wall? So at that moment I became aware of somatic therapy. The body has somewhere a say in everything. So I learned the first part of somatic work already, and that's part on. So that's somewhere in my life and my aspiration. I always loved people, but say I took a long road to really get there. But normally, if you're 22, if you like to study, you have 2 ways to work with people. If you like to study, you do or psychology, or later in life. Now, I don't know how it's in Vietnam, but in my time, if you were 18 and you wanted to study psychology, it was 80% female that wanted to study psychology. So if you went as a boy to study psychology, there must be something wrong with you. And in that time, everybody who wanted to study psychology was somewhere messed up.
Mm.
And so it was not really a positive thing if you wanted to study psychology. So I never did it. Later in life, I thought it would have been easy to have studied psychology instead of commercial engineering. It would have made more sense in my career. So I will say I'm a quick learner and a slow learner. Because I follow my passion, and if you follow your passion, it doesn't mean you always follow the quick tracks to get somewhere.
Christoffel, I want to bring you to the 31, 32 years old when you say that you realize you love people more than you love computer, right? And then you call the company, apply for the job, and they say no to you. So you ask a very big question: what can you do to get accepted, right? And after 2 months of negotiation, then they finally accepting you to join. Why did you spend that 2 months to persuade and to push the message across so that you get them accepting you to the program?
I will first put it in context of 3 brains. So if you look at my 3 brain score, I have the biggest heart brain score, then a gut brain score, then a head brain score. The heart brain is about people and connecting and socializing. The gut brain is the winner's brain. The winner's brain that likes to achieve, that likes to win, that likes to be number one. Is the egocentric brain. The head brain is the logical brain that thinks before it does. Now, so based on that score, you will see I do before I think, and the gut brain likes to win. Why I didn't accept their no, because I knew it was the number 1 in Europe in training. So if you like to learn the best, you would be there. And had an amazing learning program for the people who joined. So for me, I always said there is no number 2, there is no plan B. So when they said no, I had something like, okay, it's nice that you say no, but I decided I'm going to work for you. So we just have to find a way how you can say yes. And I still remember the lady said, you're rather persuasive. I said, yes, because everything inside me says I'm going to work for you. And don't ask me why, but everything feels for me I should work for you. And she was like, okay, you go to our headhunter, convince him. If you can convince him, we can talk. I went to the headhunter. We had something like, the whole procedure is closed. So I don't know, we already hired everybody, it's closed. So then I asked the guy, so then why did you say yes to meet me? Are you here just in for the money or is there something else? He said, that's a good question. I said, yes, because somewhere inside me said that I should meet you. I said, no, okay, so then we're good. Then we have a good match. Now, 1 hour later, he said, yes, you can go to the next round. You can talk to the company. And to be honest, later, 1 year later, after I worked for the company, I got the computer of the old CEO because the old CEO, we all get new computers, but the new ones get the old computers. But as having worked in computers, I knew actually to retrieve the data from the computer. So I retrieved the data and the emails. So I found an email that was about me. And the headhunter wrote an email to the CEO. We've got a guy here, Christoffel named. He is so extremely freaking stubborn that he likes to work with you. That even if I say 10 times no, he says yes. He's like the Baron from Munchausen. That's a story from childhood. Baron from Munchausen pulled himself with his hair outside the mud. So he pulled himself up. He said, he's just like that guy. He said, you say no. He bounced back and says, that's okay, let's go on. He said, it's incredible. He said, he will be a pain in the ass, but probably also extremely good. So I saw an email, but anyhow, after I went to, then I had to do a presentation if I had leadership skills and training skills. And I still remembered, I was there all by myself, and there was a CEO of the company, and there were 2 senior partners there. And I was there all by myself. They said me huge you. So we had some like there, and there. And I still think I'm the only one giving a presentation for these 3 extremely good guys. Or they're crazy, or they see something as me, but I should not pee my pants, because now I get nervous. So I think before my presentation, I went 8 times to the toilet. I did my presentation, and we had a chat, and they asked all the questions if I like to work 60 or 70 hours a week and all this kind of stuff. And I said, I don't mind. Probably I'm much smarter than everybody else, so I'll work only 50 hours to do the same. And the guy said, "You're rather arrogant." I said, "No, I just know who I am because I love my sports. I love the water polo and those kind of stuff." Wow. And I still remember, I walked. The CEO walked with me to the exit, and at the exit door he said, "Just think it over about your decision." And I said, "I don't have to think. My answer is yes." I said, "But if you ask me that question, it sounds that you already have made your decision. That's interesting." And I walked away because he didn't say anything. But 2 days later, they called me. 2 days later, 2 days, not the day after. 2 days later, yes, you're in. We just have to discuss your salary. And I spoke then with one of those three and said, "I just have an idea that you already made the decision before it was outside the door." He said, "Yes, we made the decision. Actually, you were before you out the door." So we said something like, "That guy shows so much passion to work here, and so much love and so much craziness that it would actually be crazy for us not to hire him, because the guy breathes actually our genes out from the company. He's almost like he's made for us." So that's why we said yes. He said, "On the other hand, we know you're so extremely stubborn that probably we have to hit you 20 times before you start listening." That was actually true. That was also true, to be honest. Right?
Teach us, Christoffel, how can we be that determination and resilience in our life, where a lot of people now they're giving up so easily for the things they love doing?
That you could say, do they really love it? Because did you ever fall in love with a girl?
Yes.
Or boy? Yeah, I don't know your preference. So then, do you know those first times that you like to call her and like to meet her, and that she says yes, I can that time, and you skip everything, you run to her, you do everything, and you almost don't sleep and still have energy. That is when you really follow your heart and the passion is there. Because the moment your heart is in it, it releases oxytocin, it releases neuroperiferine, that's the energy mode. It connects with the rest of the body, gives me energy. Then your gut brain steps in, your gut brain has cortisol, adrenaline, and all kind of things, just to give you all the energy. And it just happens. You could say, to compare it in another way, and you hear those stories of parents, when something happens to their kid, they have all the energy to save their kid. Yeah. And they do the amazing stuff. Now, that energy is released when you really follow your passion in your heart. That you can do miracle things. So if people say, I love to do my passion, but I don't have energy for it, I know it's too hard work, then I always say that then it's not your real passion. If it's really your passion, you would do it. Because the moment the oxytocin is released, and you really love it, also epiperiferine are released in the head, and that's that stimulation drug that gives you just the high speed, and just happens. So nowadays, it's also different. I will not say the old times were better, because they were not. But nowadays there's much more choice. My choice of playing things where you play outside with a ball, you play with your friends, or maybe you read a book. Or you could watch maybe one of the good channels on television. Nowadays, you have 100 channels on television, you have Netflix, you have a Disney channel, you have whatever kind of channels you have. On this little mobile thing, you have 40,000 apps, then you have all the social media. So there's so much to see that actually it creates almost a FOMO, the fear of missing out. So it's hard really to follow your passion, because people don't connect with the body anymore, because the moment you're on this, you're actually not in your body, you're in your head. And if you're in television, you're also in your head, because your body is actually getting all the signals, maybe because you identify with a program, but your body is not steering the direction, it's secondly. So to feel passion, the heart should come first. When you look at social media, that is addictive. Addictive is actually this one is first, dopamine and other kind of release of neurotransmitters, and the body follows. And that's a huge difference. If the heart is in it, really the heart is in it first, you have all the energy.
So what can we do to have the heart to come in first to get that full energy, Christoffel?
Now, let's not talk about children in general. It means really to start connecting with your body again.
Connect with the body.
Really what people say, get out of your head. That means actually go into your body. Yeah, start feeling what's happening. If I do my training or I work with people, and I ask sometimes, I ask them in coaching, so from they told a topic, blah 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 blah, and I said, okay, really interesting. And I'm just let's just do some game. Just imagine for a moment that all the logic is gone. Dear CEO or dear manager or dear client, and you would just follow your heart. What would you do? And a number of times I hear, follow my heart. I don't know how to follow my heart. They're disconnected from their heart. They don't feel their heart anymore. And if you look at and there you go in a broader perspective, if you look at our educational systems, at least I know more Australia and Europe and America than, say, Asia. Well, I have some ideas about it. Remember, especially because I teach on the MBA, we educate people to get a lot of knowledge inside their head, and we have to be competitive, and we have to be the best. You see it in Harvard, you see it in the business school, IE. You get an A, B, C, D, or E, and you like to have an A or a B. But only 30% can get an A and B, 70% gets the rest. There's a lot of competition, and they stuff students with more than they actually can do in a week or in a day. So it becomes what is neat to do, what's nice to do. So it's always competition. So you train in the gut brain and the head brain. And the heart brain, socialization is not trained anymore.
Oh.
And if you, I don't know, I know it's in Europe, I don't know how it's in Asia, but say activities that use the body, like gymnastics, dance, art, are skipped out of the curriculum of a lot of schools in Europe because it costs money. Yeah, we focus on language and on math and I don't know, whatever it is. So we actually from young age, we teach kids already to get out of the body. We don't train the body anymore. And then if you then make the last connection, say, with obesitas, if you look at pictures from the 50s or the 60s, there are no fat people, almost no fat people. Obesitas was not existing in the 50s or 60s or 70s. Obesitas is coming in when all the fast food chains came in, and now obesitas is in mainly Europe and Australia, in the United States, a massive issue. 50% of the population is somewhere overweight or obesitas. That means the body is actually disconnecting, because the body does not like to be unhealthy. The body likes to be healthy. So only when you are somewhere in a disbalance, your body allows yourself to get so much. Because just imagine why obesity is actually a disbalance. Now we're still animals. We can call ourselves humans, but we're still animals. 5,000 years ago, when we're still hunter and gatherers, and you had to run behind a deer. Do you think if you were weighing 120 kilos, you had any chance of catching a deer? No, you would actually then or lose your 70 kilos and become 50, 60 kilos again and start running again, or you would die because you're unfit to survive. Now, our body is made to survive. So the moment we actually create a body that is unfit to survive, that means we're out of balance. So we don't listen to our body so much anymore. And if you train our gut system and our micro and actually our gut bacteria all on sugars and fat, what is in whatever kind of food you find in the stores nowadays, you train actually the combination of what is the gut bacteria, and the gut bacteria can have connection with the brain upstairs, and actually they start changing the whole system. So we train ourselves to be unhealthy. So that's the whole bigger picture. And so it's a huge answer that connects right away from social economic problems there. So we get more and more disconnected.
If we say that train our body, listen to our body, and for a very long time, people forget to listen to the body, so they don't have that ability anymore. what is the baby steps we could do to start listening to our body, then responding to it?
Well, like the funny part is, and I always make the joke to my students, we listen to our body only on 3 moments, 2 moments. When we go to the bathroom, that's one we always listen to, because otherwise you do it in your pants. That is rather unhandy, social. And the other 2, and we listen less to that, when we are hungry or thirsty, or that we like go to bed. Those 3 signals we still get. The first one we almost always listen to, go to the bathroom. And the other one, hungry, thirsty, is a little bit off whack, because we are hungry and then we start eating a chocolate bar instead of an apple. The third was sleeping, based on all the TV, social media, and other kind of stuff, that people push their sleep away. But those 3 signals we always get from our body. Now, the part is actually really start listening to them. And the moment you really start listening to them, and you focus on them, and come aware, you take a sip of water or tea, whatever you have in your can in this moment. And actually what they say in mindfulness, come aware that you drink. Come aware how something smells. I have a manzanilla tea, so that's anise. Manzanilla is chamomile, and I love to smell it. And that is actually, you train your senses to come aware of it again. It is actually coming aware what's happening. Well, how many people do you see when you go out in a restaurant who eat and don't know what they eat? They just shove it inside their mouth.
A lot.
Now, let's say go to Europe, not in Spain, not so much, because we still have a eat culture here. But go to America, people stuff something in there without that they know it. And so they disconnect actually from the gut brain, because the gut brain starts here. So they come aware. So it's just actually really coming aware of your senses again. And if you have that sense of, hey, I feel something, what is it saying? Next week I do a webinar for ANECO, that is an academy, sort of an alumni center and educational center for academics in Norway. And one of the exercises I'm going to do, I do it always in my training, and let them say, actually putting fingers on their head and say what my name is. And let them put the fingers on their heart, my name is, and then put the fingers on their gut, my name is. And I ask them to start becoming aware, what does their head say, their heart say, and their gut say? When it's their own name. Now, most times it's not so much, because it's your own name. Then I ask, okay, do you have a nickname when you were really young? How your parents or your close friends or your siblings called you? Most people have that, and I say, okay, then say my name is, and use your nickname when you were 5 years old. And then the response is different. This one says, oh wow, I think about my dad or my mom or my sister. The heart most times says, oh wow, I feel a bit of warmth. Because it reminds me of the childhood. And the gut brain, whatever it says, happy or not happy, depends on the nickname. And after like, I got totally different reactions. What's happening? And from there, I say, okay, let's just do a little test with an objective, whatever the objective is. Will you support me to go to the gym? Let's say that. And you ask your heart, will you support me to go to the gym? Will you support me to go to the gym? Should be a closed question where your heart or gut can say yes or no to. And you will be astonished, those people are astonished about the answers. And they say, my head says, of course, makes sense. Logical to do so. My heart says, it feels heavy there, Chris. And my gut says, oh, you will never do it, you're too lazy. And people are astonished that they get those responses. And they look at me from, Chris, what's happening? I said, now actually, your 3 brains now gave an answer based on their memory system, based on how they know you, and what they think is wise or not wise. It doesn't mean it is wise, but what they think is wise. And people are totally almost in shock that their own body gives answers. And they start listening to that, and it makes so much sense.
Christoffel, how did you feel when you realized? How did you feel when you realized you realized that eureka moment of the 3 brains intelligence?
Now, I had I had two ideas about it. Really, I still remember that inner dialogue I had. One was totally an eureka feeling. I found, say, the answer on the subconscious, on the unconscious. It's the head, heart, and gut. They have a memory. They have different kind of responsibilities based on evolution, how they make decisions. Hence, it makes sense to have that inner dialogue. So it was totally in euphorie from, I have it. And the second thing that right away came over me from, I'm kidding me, because there is no real research about it. There is no answer about it. Yes, there's a book about the heart brain. Yes, there's scientific proof about the gut brain. Nobody ever wrote a book about that there are three connected. So probably I'm just barking up the wrong tree. Probably I'm totally wrong. I could not believe that, say, nobody had written something about it. The first year I still was thinking from, maybe I'm just lying to myself. Just I make up a story because it sounds good. Maybe I'm just a fraud. And until I really came aware, say, of that other book that was written by Grant Luca, Multiple Brains, then I thought, there are more who write about it. And he was a research professor. He had a massive amount of research behind it. I thought, okay, so it makes sense. Because I also did my research. Okay, my research, his research, hey, it fits. And then I had something like, this is amazing. And when I came aware, say, in my research based on evolution, what I did is say from what kind of neurotransmitters or hormones are released by the three brains. The head has almost everything. The heart has actually not so much. It has oxytocin and it has epinephrine and dopamine, so reward, energy, and love. The gut brain has almost everything, the same as the head, only it does not have oxytocin. And it makes sense. If you now look, what do the neurotransmitters do? The gut, because where's your immune system located? In your gut brain, in your gut. And your intestines is almost everything for the immune system. Except it does not need to be social. To survive, you don't need to be social. If you look at evolution. And so therefore, it doesn't have oxytocin. The heart brain has oxytocin because we as humans, if we are born, we're totally helpless. If the first 9 years we don't get support from caregivers of others, we die. So we need to bond. So hence the heart is there. Now, then the head is there to as almost like a control center to get everything in place somewhere. And actually, to do something amazing is to put a memory and time in there. Because there are more animals in this world, but a few have the capacity as us to have a cause and effect analysis. But the heart and gut don't have cause and effect analysis in time. But we know, hey, what happened yesterday could affect tomorrow. And that's where the head steps in. But to remember what happens yesterday, we need a massive brain and massive memory. Beautiful. And when I came aware of it, I thought from, this gives so much answers. And if you then listen to music, and I love music, and you go to say one of the famous movies of Grease. Everybody knows Grease. Olivia Newton-John, John Travolta. And you hear then Olivia Newton-John singing, my heart says yes, but my head says no. And you hear all those other things about heartbroken, and all those kinds of things. It makes sense what we say. Then all those sentences we have and sayings we have in language make sense. Hey, I cannot digest this. Okay, but it's not good for you. So you hear in language a lot of sentences where they right away go to the head, the heart, or the gut. So we have already a long time that wisdom, only we never put, say, the scientific marks in it. So it gave me the euphoria because now it's there. So why do I say yes also to you? But one, I love Vietnam. It's a huge admiration for you people. But secondly, I would love that everybody starts learning this. Got one little example. So the gut brain does not have oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding, caring, and loving neurotransmitter. The gut brain does not have it. The gut brain has epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol, testosterone, etc., etc. The gut brain does not care about anybody else. It's extremely egocentric, me-oriented brain. Because so just imagine your gut brain dominant and you don't listen to your heart. What could you do with other people? You could kill them, torture them, rape them, burn them alive. The moment you put the heart in there, it doesn't happen anymore. Because then you feel human and you would not do that anymore. And if you then have also your head screwed up, you come aware it doesn't make sense to do so because the world is big enough for all of us. So my big passion is, if we start living with three brains and we start listening to them, a lot of the toxicity in companies, a lot of the cruelty that happens in between people, and maybe even worse, would somewhere end. And of course, that's a huge dream I have, but somewhere it makes sense.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And it sounds like a really big dream, and maybe I will never see it in my lifetime, but at least it's worth dreaming for. It's worth living for.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And thanks for making that impact through the works you are doing. You have the leaders to have the people to build up the intelligence for that three brain so that, they themselves can get better first. Then when they get better, they can help the people, in their lives to get better. Okay?
And the
Last
beauty is,
question,
and just to interrupt you, 2 years ago, and there's research of McKinsey about great leadership, and what are the 4 traits of great leaderships. But also Paul Zek from Harvard University wrote a book about, say, the trust factor. And there are more books about it, but this book is 2 years old. But why I loved Paul Zek, because he did, just like McKinsey, massive research, and just like Gallup organizations, what do companies and people, what does them make flourish? What makes them better than the rest? And you see in all 3 researches that if companies work, say, as a team, where engagement is really high, they value people as people, they have less sickness, more happiness, and actually more revenue and more profit. So they have better health and wellness and much more money. So from a logical standpoint of, say, all those shareholders who just like to maximize the profit, even working with 3 brains would make totally sense because you maximize profit without burning the ship. So that's why I also love to bring it out there, because it's actually it's a no-brainer. Okay, so sorry, now your last question. Excuse me for interrupting you.
Yeah, I have the last question because we've scheduled for 1 hour, and then I got a plane to catch after this. So
Oh wow.
yes, my wife and I, we've been on the quest to help people to improve their ability to think. And you are the very, very great thinker. You're trying to connect in the dots and then try to create something that help people to get better. So we want to ask the secret of your thinking. So how have you been growing your ability to think, Christoffel?
Now, there's 2 reasons. One, say, if you're a little bit, say, if I would now be diagnosed, probably say, oh, he has a little bit ADHD, maybe a little bit autistic spectrum. By the way, he's also dyslexic, so yes, he's messed up, put him on medication. Now, the beauty of that diagnosis is that the head brain likes to think differently. So I have an advantage, say, how I think. So I like to do 5 things on my screen and like to see the connection. So I'm more a global thinker. So I have that little bit advantage. What makes me think so much is I always love, just like little kids, ask the question, how does it work? Why? I don't accept, just accept it as it is. If people say, just learn it how it is, why? Because I tell you so, then everything inside me says, no, that's no argumentation. I don't believe that. That's how people go to war and get killed. Just follow the leader and get shot. I'm not going there. So I always say, how should it work? Why is that? And like the little engineer who likes to know, hey, I like to turn off the screws and see how it works. And I don't accept how it is. I like to understand. And the moment you like to understand, you start thinking about it. And the trick I use is, if I read a book, I like to understand the book. I don't like to never ask what's on page 79. I really don't know. But I can tell you how the book combines. So I like to remember as understanding. If you think about the ways how we actually learn, according to neuroscience, you have 3 declarative memories: a working memory, and a semantic memory that is just catches the words and a memory that really connects the storyline. And if you like to remember that, you have to create a storyline. It is just 1 minute. Just listen to me and tell me the story. 2 legs is sitting on 3 legs and is eating 1 leg. 4 legs steps in and grabs 1 leg and runs away. 2 legs stands up, grabs 3 legs, runs behind 4 legs. Catches 4 legs, hits 4 legs with 3 legs. 4 legs drops 1 leg and runs away. 2 legs picks up 1 leg and walks back. Now, please repeat the story. And you think, Chris, you're crazy. Now, this is say if you learn the facts. And only if you're Big Bang Sheldon, you remember with a photographic memory the story. But if I now tell you a story, a guy is sitting on a bar stool eating a T-bone steak. A dog comes in and steals the T-bone steak and runs away with the T-bone steak. The guy stands up, takes the little stool and runs behind the dog. Catches the dog and hits the dog with the stool. The dogs drop the T-bone steaks and runs away. The guy picks up the T-bone steak and walks back. Then probably he can tell this story almost in perfect back. Now, that's the difference how we remember. So I like to remember the story, not the facts.
I see.
So the moment you say, I like to understand the storyline, then you get curious and you start learning. So,
thanks, Christopher, for all of the beautiful conversation tonight. I really hope that the next time that you ever travel to this country, you let me know. I would love to meet you.
If I wouldn't do that, I would feel extremely bad because I know I have a friend in Vietnam and it will feel extremely bad if I would not visit a friend. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for your time. Say hello to your family, please.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.